All right, I was in Google Classroom and looking to do a rubric for an assignment. And when I was in here, I would like to do the rubric um, to have a multiplier. And so I've got to put a title in there before I can open up a rubric. We'll create a rubric here. And I would like for there to be a multiplier so I don't just have a points value of like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but I want to have a multiplier for each category. So one category is weighted different than another. And to show you an example here, this is the paper copy of the rubric I use. And so this would be for grading a project. The aesthetics, they could have a high score, they could have a good score, an okay score, below standard, or, miss the mark kind of deal. And so I've got some descriptions down here on the bottom that kind of tell what each category is for. But I really wanted to have this multiplier because each category is weighted different than the next one. And so the way I have figured out or came up to do this in Google Classroom, because I really couldn't find any good way to do this or where it actually has like a multiplier on there, is within Google Classroom. I've set up my rubric, and then I have put my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like we have right here in my selection. And then I've put the points multiplied. So 5 times 7 is 35. And so I've put those up here in the points value. This allows me to see both the level 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's what I'm going to use when I'm grading the student's work. And then the points will be multiplied and they'll show up at a later point there when they're graded or when their grade is calculated. Now, I know that this says 36 and 5 times 7 is 35. Well, I wanted this to be a nice even score. And so rather than having 309, I could make it 310 points. And otherwise, if I didn't do that, what Google was doing to me was creating some different numbers on there. You can see I have a decimal in my rubric here. And so rather than that, I was hoping to eliminate some of those decimals and have nice even points by selecting different values. So that's why I have 36 there. I was hoping that it would eliminate some of the decimals that Google was creating for me. Now, I really like using Google Google Classroom's rubrics. And if we take a look here, this is a live rubric, and you can see here. So if I come up here, aesthetics, I can choose between each one of these categories. And one thing I really like about Google Classroom is they've allowed me the ability to do things besides the standard ones. So maybe this student had a good looking project and I can click on that. And, but maybe I feel like it was a little bit better than good, kind of in between this. Well, I can come up here in my Google rubric here and I can change this value. So maybe I'm going to make it 32. I'm going to say, well, it wasn't quite full points, but it wasn't quite the next step down. I'm going to go in between and give you kind of a partial grade there. And so I can change it. I can give the lower score and add a few points on, or I could give the high score and take away a few points, but that doesn't seem quite as appealing to me. I would rather give the low score and add a few points. And so as you go through and click, again, it also calculates your grade for you. Again, I'm just using the 3-2-1 or the 5-4-3-2-1. Yes, they did it. They did it, but it wasn't great, or they didn't do it at all kind of mentality. So as you go through and calculate and click, it's coming up with a score for you over on the side. And it'll come up with a grand total. Again, what I was really looking for was those multipliers, and I wanted to be able to have my regular categories. So when I graded, I didn't want to have this be 35, 28, 21, 14, 7 and select this because there's a big gap in there. What I really wanted was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because there's not a difference between those numbers. So 5 to 4, that's just a one number versus having 7 between each one. And so that allowed me to keep the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and have the multiplier because I have both of them right here in my rubric for you to see. So hopefully this helps for those of you who are setting up rubrics in Google Classroom and maybe wanting to use a multiplier within your rubric. This video, I didn't see a lot out there for information on this, so hopefully that helps.